Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to be disassembling this CM.522 budget AK. Hey guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy my content today, please do consider liking and subscribing because it really helps me out. That said, we're going to get started. So this is a budget £63-64 AK, the CM.522 AK-47, all plastic externals pretty much. Hopefully you saw my unboxing the other week. It's an absolute beauty, and before I get to go out and test it, I'm going to do a disassembly video on it, mostly because I have to downgrade it. So we'll get started. Obviously, safety first. Make sure your mag's removed, make sure the gun's cleared as well. Excuse me, and we'll get straight into it. So I'm going to remove the top cover, push the button in, and the top cover lifts off. I'm next going to remove the stock. Phillips head screwdrivers. Now sometimes this screw here is easier to wait until you've got the pistol grip off. So what I'll do is I'll remove this one first, then I'll remove the pistol grip. If you are looking for a budget starter, I can highly recommend this and any of the other budget starters I've reviewed, unboxed lately on the channel. The CM.506, CM.513 I think it was. This one, just absolute bargains, less than 65 quid for a weapon that is an excellent platform to build on longer term. Put the battery cover down and the stock. Now I'm not going to take the stock all the way off. I am. I just want to take it far enough. That's interesting. They've actually taped up the connector there. So I'm guessing they're keeping it from separating quite easily, which is fine. I'll just undo the sellotape. And there we go. So stock can go out of the way. That's done really just to allow us to get the gearbox out. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this little Phillips head screw here, and this push button should push forward and up and out. Although it doesn't look like it wants to go, that's fine. So what we're going to do instead is, it's one of those types. So what I've done is I've pulled the metal bar, pushed it forward out of the button because it's not screwed in, and the button will just lift out, and then that's freed that up. Move that out of the way, and this now should snap back slightly, and then up. And it seems to be a little bit stiff at the minute. Finish taking the screw out, definitely was to do with the screw. So slides back slightly, lifts and up and out of the way, and then we've got access to the hop adjuster in there. There's the top of our gearbox. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the fire selector. So this is just a plate over the top of a screw, which is better than some of them. So I just pop that out, just use the little flat blade screwdriver, pop the little cover off, gives me access to the Phillips head. So I'm just going to undo the Phillips head in there, pop that out. There's the selector and the little cam that fits in there. Now if you look carefully, you can see there's a little notch in there and there's a little gap in the top of that. Those two sit together and it should just click into place like that, and that's how the selector lever engages with the side of the gearbox. We'll see more of that in a moment. So next I'm going to flip it over, and on an AK-47 we remove these 4 screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and separate the 2 halves. Then we've got access to the barrel and the gearbox. So get these out. Maybe I need to get my electric screwdriver out and do this. Now, the screws generally are two different lengths, so it's important that you remember or keep separated the two different sets of screws. So if you can see, the one I've taken out of the actual magwell itself is slightly shorter, not much, but slightly shorter than the one I took out from the front. So make sure that you know which are which and keep them separated, just because you don't want that too long a screw going in the wrong place and it damages part of your internal bodywork or anything. It's not good. So I've got the 4 screws out, so I'm literally just going to wiggle that up a little bit, and I'm going to wiggle it out and forward, and it slides out. Now, a couple of things to be aware of. Little spring here, that's part of your charging handle assembly. Now in there it's wedged in, that's good. On a lot of the Maruis and older CYMAs, that just pings out. You then got 4 little nuts, bolts in there, 2 there and 2 there. Obviously just make sure you keep them in there as well as possible. Now if I want to take the hop out, the hop is screwed down, as you'll find in many AK variants, to part of the outer barrel assembly. So I'll take that out, 1 little screw, 2 little screws, and the hop and the barrel all just slide out perfectly, and that's the spring pinging out. So single piece hop unit, nice. It's a bit free and easy to move. I might stick like a shim underneath this screw, see if I can just tighten it down at all a little bit, just to give it a bit of friction. It definitely does need a little bit of something, because otherwise that hop's just going to move. That's a little bit better. I'll tinker that with that later. Now looking down the barrel, putting the hop fully on, hopefully you might be able to see that. There you go, there is a good amount of adjustment down that barrel, so that's probably going to be able to hop some quite heavy BBs. I'm not going to tinker with a hot rubber, just because I want to see what it's like out of the box. Generally CYMAs, JGs, they have generally pretty good hot rubbers out of the box, so I'm not going to mess too much. But I'm going to put that back in there for now, because I'm not here to mess with that. I just want to get down to the gearbox. Screwdriver. So slide that out of the way, keeping that safe, and then we're down to the nitty gritty of the gearbox. So I'm going to lay it down this way, just because these parts will ping off, and as I'm lifting it up and out, just working it out, I'm just going to carefully feed that wire in through there and jiggle it about a little bit, and there we go. So there's your receiver. So the sling loop just goes through the body and sits on this metal plate that's been taped in to keep it in place. I suppose that's quite clever really, just to keep it in place. That is a metal bracket at the back to put your stock on. Just standard plastic metal body really, nothing too special in there, so we'll get that out of the way. Then we've got the actual gearbox itself. So now these plates here operate the fire selector from one side, and then via this cam they go through to the other side. So what I'm going to show you quickly is, if you disassemble your gearbox for whatever reason, when you put this cam back in, the screw head goes on this side of the gearbox, and those teeth should meet up like that. So you've got the big tooth first, and then they should all meet up nicely like that and move just like that, as Thomas Cooper would say. Flip it back over again, and the teeth on this side should meet perfectly. So starting with the bottom tooth, the first gap to the first tooth on here, and they should all marry up perfectly. If those are out of alignment, you might find that you can't access the firing mode, might not be able to get it in safe and that kind of thing. So that's in safe at the minute, and I can't move the trigger. Then we're in full auto, and then we're into single shot. So we'll remove those now. That literally just lifts up and out of the way. That one as well. Put those out of the way. And then to get in the gearbox, we'll remove the cam, we remove the screws, we remove this little protective cover for part of the gear and this plate on top. So we'll do that and I'll show you inside the gearbox. So get rid of the cam first. So the thread that they put in there was just filling out the screw thread too much, so my screwdriver wasn't actually gripping at all. And out. Still not sticking particularly well in there. That's better. That stuff's really in there. There we go. So, get that off there. The gearbox itself is looking pretty solid, really, from considering the price of this. Next, I'm going to pop the plane off the top, and what I found is it's easy if you get a flat head and just pry against it from there until it pops over that little notch. Can sometimes be really stiff and tricky. So if you can get it far enough off to get pliers on the end, I sometimes get some grips and pull it the rest of the way. There we go. The use of pliers, it came off. So next I'm going to take the motor. In fact, what I'll do is I'll get this out of the way. You should be able to just get a screwdriver, a little flat blade head down there. Pop that off. It's quite tough, durable plastic, so you're not going to break it very easily, but it is important that you put it back on the gearbox. That's out of the way. Now all that's left is the screws. Again, some of these screws are slightly different lengths, so it's important that they use the correct, you keep them in the right order of where they've come from, so you know where they're going. Already I can see that those two screws are two different lengths. That's a different length again for the motor cage. I am impressed that the motor wires are not soldered on. Sometimes they are in cheaper models like this. They're actually got spade connectors on, female spade connectors, which is good. Means it's easy to change the motor if there's an issue. Next one, and the front one just needs a smaller Phillips head. Get that out of the way. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift that out of the way. I'm going to start to split the gearbox, and I'm going to shove this in the back into the spring guide and pin it down like we do in a normal gearbox, just to stop everything exploding out. There we go, so I've got that braced, and up and out, and release that. So that is a pretty strong spring. We've got fairly standard, cheaper quality air nozzle. It's not amazing, it's not terrible. Fairly standard, cheap tappet plate, as is the piston itself. I'll have a quick look at the air seal in there. No air seal whatsoever. As you can see, I can freely just run that in there. I do hazard a guess that if that was a better air seal in there, that would put out an even higher FPS. The gear set does look good quality though. I'm quite impressed with the gear set. Everything else looks nice and solid. It looks well shimmed as well. A little bit over greased, so I might get that cleaned out at one point as well. But that's everything. That's a full disassembly of the CM.522 budget AK. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's useful. I'll see you next time. Bye.